Remember the I was saying earlier? Yeah, I want to cook something because I want to visualize it first. I want to see it in the pan and then work backwards. This is nothing while I was visualizing. It's the end of week 4. It's been an interesting one. This week has been my most challenging, which at the beginning I thought would have been smooth sailing. Looking at my character type, I really love the beginning of a project. I love the energy that it gives me, and I love the participation and the collaborative working. But this week has been tough to remain focused. I seem to have been low on energy, probably lacking sugar and certain foods, but more so on seeing the end of the project. I think that's something that we have to be very careful of when we look at the higher narrative of a long-term initiative around engagement. Simply due to the fact that if we are now at this stage focused on the end, we're actually taking our eye off the journey. If I've learned anything, this is probably the harder part of the parallel. The project is still running, and it's not about reaching the end goal so I can say, great, I can have a glass of wine, great, I can stop exercising, great, I can go back to my old ways, because that's the last thing that I want to be doing. It's actually about the new beginning starts on day 31, keeping that momentum going throughout, because the end never comes, because we never reach an utopic world. We're always driving towards that utopic world, and every bit of the journey is important. I had an interesting challenge on Tuesday, and that was with 7 a.m. yoga. I just didn't feel like going. I used all of the rationale that I could find in order to convince myself that today was not the day to go to 7 a.m. yoga. From I have a little bit of a headache, I didn't sleep well, to I have a very busy day ahead, and of course that works. As the day rolled on, I began to beat myself up about this. And as a leader, we've got to recognize that we're not infallible. We need to forgive ourselves when we are maybe making a small mistake or go off track, because that is also part of the journey. Failure is only failure if you allow it to be that way. How I worked on that is using some mindfulness techniques and stuff that Kathy and I work on in our mindset coaching that is about reframing. So I looked at all the benefits that yoga has been giving me and actually how much I enjoy it. That meant on Thursday I was ready to go. I was up early and I was the first one in the class. So yeah, I missed one. That's life. When one phase finishes, I think it's about how we then really look at all of the data and really look at all of the insights that we gathered through that part of the journey in order that we can influence the next stage of the project. One of the things we always talk about at Bridge is always be handing over. Our jobs is to work with our clients and in partnership with them. And what we mean by always handing over is more and more influence which sit with the client. But it's always about being there, being a participant in whatever is required of you, but not always having to use such strong amounts of influence, i.e. a Whole30. A Whole30 diet should get me kickstarted to change the way I view food in my diet, but it doesn't need to be that intensive forever. As this phase of the Living Brand project comes to a closure, it opens up the next stage, which is sustainability. It's very important for us to take all of what we learned over these 30 days, compile it into great insights, because that's going to be the power that we have to make it sustainable as we go forward.